All right, let's roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty today. We are going to build your very first F5 Big IP lab completely from scratch.
Have you ever really stopped to think about that? The huge online services you use every single day, how do they handle that insane, constant flood of traffic from all over the world all at once, and they just don't crash?
Well, a huge part of the answer is something like a super smart traffic cop sitting right in front of all the web servers, directing everything perfectly. And today, we're going to build our own version of that system using one of the biggest names in the game, F5's Big IP. And this isn't just talk. By the end of this, you're going to have a real working lab.
Okay, let's get into it. We're going to tackle this in a few distinct phases, and by the end, you'll have this awesome environment for all your own testing and learning.
So, first things first. Phase 1 is all about getting our foundation right. We got to gather up all our virtual tools and materials before we can start building.
So, what do we actually need? On the hardware side, it's pretty basic stuff for any decent computer these days. You probably already have what it takes. The real key ingredients are the software. You'll need a virtualization tool like VMware Workstation Pro and, of course, the F5 Big IP Virtual Edition firmware itself, which comes in a nice, neat little package called an OVA file. Actually, building the virtual machine itself is surprisingly easy. You're basically just importing that .ova file, and VMware does pretty much all the heavy lifting. You just click through, accept the license, take a quick look at the network settings, and hit that power on button. And here is where it gets really exciting. Our virtual device is coming to life. So in this next phase, we're going to make first contact and get our initial control established. As the VM boots up, you're going to see a whole wall of text just scrolling by. Don't panic. That's totally normal. Our very first chat with this Big IP isn't going to be in some fancy, pretty window. It's going to be in the good old-fashioned command line interface. Now, this is a really key thing to understand. You've basically got two ways to control your F5. First, there's the command line, the CLI. We only use this for one very specific, very quick job at the beginning, setting an IP address so we can talk to it over the network. Once that's done, we switch over to the web browser to use the graphical user interface, the GUI. And that's where we'll do pretty much everything else. So here are the magic words for that first login. The username is root, and the password is default. The system will force you to change that password right away, which is good. Once you're in, you just type one command, config. That kicks off a little wizard that lets you set that all-important management IP address. Okay, our device has an IP address, it's on the network, so now we can finally get into the main control panel. In this phase, we're going to activate the license and unlock all of its power. Now, licensing can sound like a big, intimidating process, but honestly, it's just a simple three-step copy and paste dance. First, you grab a unique code called a dossier from your F5. Then, you hop over to the F5 website and trade that dossier for a license key. And finally, you just copy that new key and paste it right back into your F5. And bam, it's activated. That's it. So our single F5 is licensed and running, which is great. But to make this a truly professional grade lab, we have to think about what happens if something goes wrong. We need resilience. And that brings us to our final and frankly coolest phase, building for high availability. So what in the world is high availability, or HA? Well, think of it as the ultimate safety net. It's the key to making sure you don't have a single point of failure. Instead of just one device, you have a pair. One is active, handling all the live traffic. The other is a standby, an identical twin just waiting on the sidelines, ready to jump in instantly if the first one has a problem. For your users, the service just never goes down. Getting this HA pair working together is a really logical process. First, you need two F5s, and you link them up. Then, you have to make them trust each other so they can talk securely. After that, you group them together into a sync failover group, which is what makes them an official team. And finally, the last crucial step, you synchronize their settings. This makes sure the standby device is always a perfect, up-to-the-second clone of the active one. And with that final configuration sync, that's it. Our project is complete. Let's just take a moment to appreciate what you've just built. I mean, seriously,
Think about it. You started with just a couple of software files, and now you've got a fully licensed, fully provisioned, and most importantly, a redundant, high-availability F5 Big IP lab. This is the kind of powerful setup that keeps real-world critical applications running smoothly.
So your professional-grade lab is up and running. The foundation is solid. Now the real fun, the real exploration can begin. The big question is, with this amazing tool at your fingertips, what are you going to build with it? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.